Hello, once again. It's a privilege to have you come to our channel once again. Welcome to Bonniehood Snail Farm. I am Bonnie Howard, CEO, Bonniehood Farms and Consultancy. Okay, today I will be discussing a very massive topic, a topic of which I've had a lot of questions, and despite the fact that a lot of farmers try to explain these things in a better way, a lot of young farmers they have issues to why this keep happening. All right, and that is the issue of egg laying of your snails. So a lot of farmers have this issue of their snails not laying eggs, and when this happens most of the time they blame it on the supplier. All right, well, that could be kind of correct to an extent, or yeah, to an extent, but that could also be some of the factors, one here and there. But I'm going to give us a very detailed reasons why most of the time your snails does not lay, or they stop laying, especially when you get them newly to your farm. All right, so a lot of young farmers have this issue and they try as much as they can to see how their snails lay, but the good thing is that your snails will have to lay definitely if they are the right poles. Okay, let me say point of lay, if they are right point of lay starting up your farm. All right, so you have to be sure that your snails are right, and for you to know that these snails are right, and environmental factors, activities, one or two you can do to make sure your snails start laying is what I'm going to be talking about here today. All right. Welcome once again. I want to say, if you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly do so, and subscribe, click the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we upload YouTube useful videos, and also give us a thumb up so our videos can be recommended to other farmers who would find this information very useful. Right, so we'll be talking about reasons why snails stop laying, or snails on arrival to your farm are not laying. All right, even though the supplier says they've been laying or they are laying, but in your farm they are not laying. A lot of factors are there, and that's a very common challenge with snail farmers. All right, especially young farmers. So I'm going to be talking on that. So number one, I'm going to talk about the reason why snails stop laying or snails are not laying. Number one is that market snails. All right, so some people were like, well, market snails, I didn't know the same snails the farmers do, and all that. So, well, the point is that when you get snails from the market, farmers, we don't actually recommend that so much. Why? Because well, let me just say, some get those market snails and then they do well with it. All right, they're able to maneuver the environment and all that. So a lot of factors are on ground, so if you know what you're doing, you can still get a good result. All right, but we personally don't recommend it most of the time. The reason is that market snails usually pass through a lot of harsh environmental factors. All right, so sometimes they put them on the sun, and in a basin or in a tray, or measured or tied together and all that in different conditions, and they stay under the sun, rain and sun, they are there. All right, so that actually weakens the snails, and on arrival to your farm you are bound to have mortality or issues of non-egg laying. All right, so that's a normal issue. So that's number one. Number two factor we're going to talk about, the reason why most times snails don't lay or stop laying, is that the snails are under age. All right, so we will say that AMS snails around 11 months, plus or minus, slightly plus or minus, because I used to tell somebody the rate at which the snails grow, the rate at which they do well in your farm depends on mostly greatly on management factors. All right, housing factors are there. Aside housing factors, you're going to look at management factors. Management factors are very important. So when a supplier gives you snails, most of the time he supplies that, and that is his work, and he's done with it. So you have a lot to do, and you must have to know what you need to do to be able to get that correct. So if you have under poles, AMS, you can have around 11 months, good, very good. Most of the time they start laying 11 months, 12 months, start laying and all that. The AMS snails laying a bit earlier. All right, that's good. All those facts. So you have to know what age does a snail lays. Okay, lays its eggs. So if you have grower snails that are at 2 months, 3 months, and expect them to lay, that would be a wrong decision. All right, so they will not lay, and you have this issue of your snails not laying, and you may be looking for solutions from here and there. So those factors are also there. Now, number three factor is that harsh environmental factors. So if you have harsh environmental factors affecting your snails or the environment where you are, you should just be ready, or be ready, all right, that the snails will not lay their eggs. That is the truth. All right, so when you have a hot environment, sun hitting on your pen, those are harsh environments, and all those factors, all right, all those factors, or extreme cold on those places, your giant land snails, African giant land snails, will not do well. All right, amidst several other challenges, mortality and all that, non-egg laying is one of the common issues you are going to experience, all right, in your snail farm. Another issue is ant insect invasion. Now, when you have ants and insects invade your farm, it disturbs the snail's normal activities, and that affects their ability to lay egg. All right, because they cannot carry out their normal activities. All right, just like human beings, when they are happy, you see them get more results. All right, so the snakes, the same thing. When they are not happy, the ants are there disturbing them, biting them, and all that. It stops them from a lot of their activities, and that affects the rate at which your snails will lay. All right, so and on this, let me also say that Bonniehood Snail Farm, we've been able to create an anti-repellent, insect anti-repellent, that is very effective for ants and insects in your farm. You can spray that inside directly into your farm, and it will not affect your snails. All right, so a lot of persons wonder how that is possible, but it's been possible, and a lot of persons have used it, and we never had any issue. We've never had any issue. Right, we sent some to Ghana, to nearby countries and all that, in Nigeria and all that. So these are perfect insect repellents, organic insect repellents, that are mainly used for farm greenhouse. You can spray it. You will take care of all our kind of ants, fire ants, soldier ants, all kind of ants and insects, cockroaches, bugs and all that. So it's a very good solution which we're able to provide. All right, another factor that will actually make your snails stop laying is improper feeding. Feeding is very important in snails. Just like human beings, you have to feed them properly so they can grow well and attain maturity quick and give you what you want. But if you don't feed them properly, you are not going to have those benefits. All right, so that's one thing. You have to feed them. Feeding them well also mean you have to feed them with a good ratio in the sense that you cannot feed your snails only carbohydrate. All right, it will have a lot of effects on them. You cannot feed your snails only vegetables, it will have effects on them. You cannot feed your snails only tubers, it will have effects on them. You cannot feed your snails only calcium supplements. No way, they can't do well, they will never do well. All right, so what happened is that these classes of foods are being will I say ratioed. All right, so you can just make a timetable for the week, and within the week you make sure that at least once or twice you give them either formulated feed, tubers, leaves, vegetables, peels and all that you give to the snail. So that is also very, very important, so you can have good results and have your snails laying properly. All right, so you can have your snails laying properly. All right, so another factor snails will not lay or stop laying in your farm is that if you have low moisture in their pen. All right, you don't serve them water and then the pen is dry, you don't sprinkle water appropriately and the pen is always dry, your snails will not do well. They will not do well. All right, so you have to sprinkle water frequently. Twice a day is fine when the weather is normal, but it's very hot and extreme heat seasons, you have to make it up to 3 times, morning, afternoon, evening, and to monitor them closely so they can start laying for you. All right, so all those factors are there. The feeding also is also very important, which I just talked about. So if you want them to feed properly, just ensure that you have proper water and moisture in their pen. Now chemical treated food is another one. If you buy food from the market which you give to your snails, is likely going to have all these most of these issues, because most of these foods you serve to your snails are treated with chemicals for preservative reasons. So those things are not good for your snails, and it can kill your snails and also make them stop laying for you, right? Improper shading, so your shading have to be sure that it takes care of the heat that is coming in, direct heat and direct sun, unless you are doing a free range or a greenhouse setting where some level of sun and some level of rain is allowed into the farm. But if you are doing intensive or semi-intensive system, you have to ensure that sun and direct rain must be completely controlled. All right, so if that is not controlled, it will reduce the rate at which your snails will lay. All right, so another factor that will actually stop your snails from laying is when your snails have excess breeze to their pen. All right, so excess breeze is not good for your snails. When breeze, that's why breeze has to be controlled. It's one of the environmental factors that should be controlled. If it's not controlled, it will affect your snails badly. All right, the last one is on overage poles. So point of lay snails will have grown to table sizes, they will gradually lose their rate of egg laying. So the bigger the snail, the slower it lays. So ensure that they are always of the same age. And the last factor we're going to talk about is overage poles. All right, overage point of lay, overage breeding snails. Now what we must understand is that the bigger from the age of point of lay, the bigger the snail gets, gradually its egg laying rate would decline. All right, so that decline is also a big factor. A lot of new farmers are not conversant with this kind of information, and then most of the time when you send them point of lay, they will begin to they will shout, they complain and say the snails are too small, the snails are this, snails are that. Okay, no wahala. Sometimes you tell them to pay a good amount of money so you can give them table sizes, and you give them the table sizes for a startup, and they become so excited, they're happy that the snails are big. After some time they start to call you that the snails are not laying, snails are not days. But you must know that just like human beings, the more you age, the lower your tendency of conceiving. Okay, let me put it this way. So even in snails, while they grow big, their egg laying rate reduces. All right, so it will go to an extent where it hardly lays. It will grow to a very big size where it hardly lays. All right, so you don't have to cry for big size snails. Just know that you need a point of lay, and once you get the point of lay, which are around slightly plus or minus from that 80 gram to 120 gram. Sometimes we've seen snails that are less than 80 gram laying eggs. All right, it does happen, but averagely we're looking at 80 gram to 120 gram, but it's within that range. You see the point I'm trying to make now. So but from 80 gram, you know that the snail is good. All right, it's getting ready for laying, especially although it depends on the species or the breed. All right, but AMS and AMO, of course, that's perfect. They are the AM species, Achatina marginata species. That is a very good age for them to lay. All right, so if you look at the weight, and most of the time the weight goes with the age. All right, so those are some of the factors. So you have to take care of those factors, consider these factors, and then do what you can do to control these things. If you're able to do all this, your snails are going to lay effectively for you. That is the simple fact, is not a guess, is the truth, and that is what we know, and that's what we've been doing for several years. All right, so those are the factors. Once again, I also want to say, if this is your first time reaching us, kindly like this video, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumb up, click the notification bell so you will be notified whenever I upload useful videos like this. All right, so frequently we'll be dropping more videos for you. Thank you for watching this video. God bless you.